Asher, a mother and her babies survived a brutal home invasion. Now, 20 years later, justice has been served. It was a horrifying night, a home invasion that left one woman dead and a mother fighting for her life. But somehow, against all odds, this mom and her 2 infant daughters survived. Now, 2 decades later, the man responsible for the senseless attack has been put to death. And for the first time, the mother and her now grown daughters are speaking out, sharing their emotional journey toward justice. Dreu Kopf was at home in a quiet, remote farmhouse in the Oklahoma wheat fields. Her 2 baby daughters were asleep, and her best friend Amber Matthews was visiting. It was supposed to be just another ordinary night. Then a stranger knocked on the door. His name was Wendell Grissom, a man drunk on vodka, looking for trouble. He asked if Drew's husband was home. When she said no, he didn't hesitate. He pulled out a gun and started shooting. I just remember telling him, "I'll do whatever you want. Just please stop," Dreu recalls. What happened next was pure horror. Amber, cradling one of the babies in her arms, was shot twice in the head. Blood soaked the onesie of the tiny child she was holding. The other baby lay in her crib, her blankets splattered with blood. Dreu herself was shot multiple times. Somehow she survived, but the nightmare would haunt her forever. The aftermath. Even today, Dreu carries physical reminders of that horrific night. "I still have bullet fragments inside me, in my uterus, stomach, and pelvis," she says. Her daughters, Riley and Gracie, have grown into strong, beautiful young women. But the scars of that night never truly faded. For 20 years, their family lived with the pain and trauma of that attack. But this week, they finally witnessed the moment they had waited for, justice being served. The execution. At 10 a.m. on execution day, Dreu and her daughters sat in the witness room as 56-year-old Wendell Grissom was put to death by lethal injection. "When they raised the curtain and we saw him, he just looked like an ordinary old man," Dreu said. "Not a monster, just normal." Then Grissom spoke his final words. "I want you to forgive me, not for me, but for yourself, so you can move on." For Dreu and her daughters, those words brought a sense of closure. "It gave me a little peace of mind," she admitted, "and maybe even a little healing." Justice served, but scars remain. While Grissom has faced his fate, the pain he left behind will never fully disappear. His accomplice, who helped carry out the attack, was sentenced to life in prison without parole. For Dreu and her daughters, life goes on. They survived the unimaginable, they endured the trauma, and now, 20 years later, they finally have the justice they waited so long for. But the memories of that night will never fade.